but it's more butterflies.
Right. Yeah, we're live. Welcome, Casey. It's so great to be here with you on Life Coach Live. Once again, I'm
Thanks,
Tyler
Tyler.
Nellens. Yeah, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm having a wonderful day.
Great.
And I think just to even say that, it took a lot to get to this point where I'm just like sitting in this awareness of, it's a really good day. I did the things I wanted to create, but more importantly, I was feeling really good. And I
Yeah.
know that not everybody can say that. So I'm just very grateful to be in that space.
Right. And so, and the way that you presented that, it's taken me a while to get in this space. I'm wondering, is it just taking you a while today to get in this space, or do you mean that this space that you find yourself in is something that you have kind of arrived at this space on a more regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, and has that journey taken you a while?
Yeah, that latter part.
Okay.
More like the experience of being in my life today and how I
Right.
create my life and cultivate things
Yeah.
and just the way that I'm able to flow through life without the intense effort and trying hard to do stuff. I'm like, I sit back some days and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, it's unfolding, it's happening. Like you're just doing it. It's not a I gotta get there. Like I'm in it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that is really powerful. I can kind of relate it to something I heard recently or a couple of years ago where it was like when someone becomes a millionaire or steps into that, like, okay, now I'm a millionaire or a billionaire, it's not like a shock to them. They're
Right.
not like, oh, well, my God, wow, I'm here. It's, well, I've been doing the work. And then it looks overnight, but it just pivots. And then you're in that energy.
They they became a millionaire before it got reflected in their bank account.
They became a millionaire before they became a millionaire.
And the question
Yeah,
is, which is the real millionaire? Because
right.
there's millionaires like on paper that ain't millionaires, if you know what I mean.
They're not millionaires.
No.
Well, like that's something I was thinking about yesterday. It's so amazing we talk about this, like how we just float here, right? But I wrote this down last night. I was like speaking to a client and she recently she came out of poverty and then ended up getting this really great job which pays her a lot of money.
Right.
But last year she made over six figures, but she's like, "Casey, I didn't save any of it.
Mm.
I I don't even know what I did. Like, I have no idea." And then I
Yeah.
thought about like lottery winners who get all
Right.
this money and
Yeah.
their physical reality changes, but their internal world is still the same as being a poor person. So that's their self-identity. So then all the money disappears. And so I was
They
thinking about her and it was
yeah.
like, whoa, okay, interesting.
They got a hole in the bottom of their bucket. Their bucket's full, but
Yeah.
there's a leak.
Right. So even if you manifest or create that external reality, is it going to stay or is it elusive? And how do you keep it there if that's actually what you want? Who do you need to become?
Yeah. And the thing that you were talking about, kind of how things just kind of happen, like you've kind of arrived at that place where it's like it's doing you. You're not. I mean, you're doing things, but it's kind of you're in that flow state. I find that when you're in the doership mode and you're attached to creating $1 million. We'll just use that for example, since we're talking about that. The amount of effort that's required to create it, but then to maintain it, rather than if you're just kind of in alignment from within with your vision, it kind of it doesn't require a lot of force and manipulation, which is exhausting. And I think a lot of people that take that route, they aren't able to enjoy it when it does arrive because they're so
Yeah.
tight and attached.
Well, they're attached to I'm going to have that $1 million versus, well, what am I going to do with that $1 million? What's the feeling that it's going to create? So then
Right.
rather than being committed to that experience
Mm,
of the feeling and the emotion, the internal, they're
right.
committed to the external, but the external is always changing. So
Right.
then the question even deeper is like, well, who do you need to be so that the external
Mm.
isn't impacting your inner state?
You're answering all the four big questions before I even ask them.
We're in alignment. We're in harmony here.
Totally. Yeah. 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 No, this is great. It's great to reconnect with you again, and I'm excited about our conversation today. And I was already thinking, oh, an hour's not enough. There's other things I want to talk to Kacy about, and uh, I better remember to invite her back after we talk because I gonna want to do this again. But anyways, we're here today. We're here right now, and we've got this great opportunity to explore four big questions. And those big questions are, who am I? And that is tied in with identity, our identity. And there's three more questions. The next question we'll just stick with the who am I for now. And then once we explore that, then we'll move on to the next question. How's that?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, perfect. So the intent behind this question is more of underneath the masks and the roles and the external identities. Who, in your essence, your authentic self, your true self. That's the question I'm asking when I say, "Who am I?"
Such an interesting question. I think that like people can spend their entire life trying to figure that out by putting on those various hats. Like, am I a mom? Am I a teacher? Am I a coach? Am I a student? Am I this? Am I that? And if I'm not this, then what does that mean about me? Um, but I think that it is ever changing on the external,
Right,
but the internal, it's hard to describe in like a container because
right,
it's like, who am I is a soul having a human experience. So the
right.
soul, I just got tingles as I said that. I've said that many times, but today there's just like this deeper knowingness
It
that
came
it's
from your
like,
soul. Yeah,
yeah, because
yeah.
I think I've never had this conversation in this context with
Okay,
someone specifically asking me that question. So it's very
yeah.
powerful, right? The space that you're creating here.
Awesome.
But who am I? It's like the soul is
Mm,
coming through as
mm,
light,
mm.
and the human experience is essentially just trying to keep up with that. What does
Right.
my soul want? What
Yeah,
does my soul want?
yeah,
How can I be my highest self?
yeah,
What can I let go of so I can let more of my light shine, whatever that is?
yeah. And you are pointing back to that innermost source or cause within you. You're directing your attention towards that. You're making that, you're asking the question, what does that soul want? And you're allowing that the soul, which is you're a head to heart alignment coach, right? So
Mm.
now is this in a this is in alignment with you being a head to heart alignment coach. Would you say, is that true?
Absolutely. That's the core of my work
Right.
because it's like we are human beings
Mm,
with a body. So
mm,
then, because we have this body and we're not necessarily taught so much about the inner world, right? Like in school, we don't learn how to manage your energy, how to talk about the things that are unseen.
right.
Yet your emotions, you can't see them, but they literally can either control you in a positive or a negative way, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
like you cut someone up, you're not going to see emotions inside.
Mm,
So how do you talk about that? So it's like ultimately it's this connection between knowing that we have a body, we're here on earth to do
Mm,
something and move into action. I know that's one of the
mm,
tenets as well, is
mm.
creating action through this vessel. But at the same time, we have to do that in harmony with what we know in our beings to be true.
Beautiful.
And because we're not taught that, we get stuck in this matrix and these programs that we're running, right, in loops that then we think those are us, which is,
Chasing shadows.
yeah, and people are so unhappy,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the pivot, is like when someone listens to a conversation like this, if
Mm,
they're aware enough to know that, oh my
mm,
gosh, like this 3D world is not just it,
mm.
then they're going deeper in. But if
Mm.
someone doesn't have the almost like a little opening within their spirit
Yeah.
to explore this,
Yeah.
it's it doesn't exist for them. This
Yes.
conversation, the who am
Yeah.
I doesn't exist.
Right.
Who are you? Oh, I'm a
Right.
teacher,
Right.
right?
That's it. Yeah. It never goes
That's it.
beyond that. Yeah. And the problem
There's no
is
depth.
once those external identities through the natural course of a lifetime get taken away, then people have like a, it can be, not everybody, but if you haven't done inner work to find out who your true or deeper identity is, when the external identities get taken away, people are at a loss. They don't know how to deal with that. They might have a breakdown even.
For sure, it's like midlife crisis. It's
Right.
like parents whose children get super, they're older, empty nest,
Yeah.
because they've identified with, I am this, therefore this validates and represents me. It's like an echo chamber, right? And then
Yeah.
if that's gone, then what does that mean about me?
Right.
Whereas I just feel like, in many ways, like I feel blessed to have gone through all of the challenges and hardship in my life, where
Mm.
it was like God was like purging me of all of these like external things,
Right.
like money,
Right.
relationships,
Yeah.
homes. Like it was like, no, Casey, you want to be stable? Because that's
Yeah.
something I wanted for a long time.
Yeah.
Stability, this
Right.
concept. But it was like, you want to be stable? Whoa, something's happening with my MacBook. Balloons. God is happy. There you go. So you want to be stable, you got to find the stability within. What
Right.
happens when
See,
your business goes bankrupt?
those balloons were like, because we're celebrating life here in this conversation. So it's like,
Yeah. So
so
cool.
you were,
Yeah.
so you said you were seeking stability. So this was before things were taken away from you. Is that what you're saying?
I think that like within my experience,
Yeah,
like as a human, as a young woman growing up, my life was always very unstable.
I
I
see.
didn't have a stable home environment. I didn't have a
Okay.
stable childhood.
Right.
And that's not to like yeah,
I
it happened.
understand.
It was a
I
part of my
understand.
experience
Yeah.
and I'm here today, right?
You accept it.
But it was
Yeah.
like exactly. And through that, the core within me was like I was constantly seeking stability
I see.
from an external source. So I thought, well, what if I get that six-figure job? Okay, awesome,
Mm.
I got it. Well, I
Right.
still don't feel stable. Okay,
Right.
great. What if I date this guy? What if this
Right.
happens?
Yeah.
Okay, I still don't feel stable.
Okay.
So then,
I got it.
over the
Yeah.
course of life, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the conditioning that you were born into, the world that you were born into, taught you that to seek stability in the external. And so that's
Mhm.
what you were seeking. And because of your unique destiny or life, what you, I guess, were finding that you couldn't really find that stability externally, but in the process, you kept looking for some real stability, and in that process, you started turning your attention away from the external searching for stability and started looking within yourself to a deeper source where we could say that the real stability is that you were seeking. Is that accurate?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like everything can be stripped away,
Right.
but
Oh,
what's
and that's the
left is
liberation.
stability.
That's the liberation. That's the freedom. isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're not
Yeah.
dependent on anything, right? We're
Exactly.
that stuff that gets stripped, we become attached to it, right? And we want to hold on to it, but life is not holding on because everything is fleeting. It's more about letting go, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's such a hard practice though. Like I just
Yeah.
want to just say that, just to so anyone listening, they're like, that sounds great, but it's
The
hard.
the bigger the lure, or the bigger the carrot,
Yeah.
right? The greater the attachment. The greater the attachment, the more
Yep.
devastating it is to have to surrender it or give it up. And life has taught me that it's like the way life is, it forced me to give it up. It's like I was already practicing,
Hmm.
but life is so fleeting. So there's the things that we love and cherish, they've got their own finite lifespan, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just can you summarize maybe who am I? Can you just, before we move on to the
Yeah.
next question?
So who am I? I am a soul having a human experience. And as my soul continues to shine through,
Yeah.
my human experience expands and I can put on multiple hats and play multiple roles. But I ultimately am the essence of
Mm,
light. I
mm,
am that being from within.
mm,
And, that can show up whether I'm running a business or I'm,
right.
wiping tables or cleaning
Right.
dishes. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I am my spirit, my soul.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, this is like, you know, it's music,
So good.
to my ears.
So
Yeah.
good.
It's beautiful.
So fulfilling and nourishing.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. So the next question really pertains to life purpose. And so, I like the term, I've got this little acronym UP. What's your UP? Or what's up?
Mm.
Meaning ultimate purpose. What's your ultimate purpose? The way that we've described this question in the live coaching path ebook, the question is, why am I here? So it's a why question. And the other way to ask it is like, what is it that I really want, you know, out of this experience, out of this life, in my heart of hearts, what is it that I really want? So, but the official question is, why am I here? Kacy, why are you here? Why were you born?
I am a systems buster. And what I mean by that is I'm here to shake things up. Really, there is a lot
Sometimes they
of
call that shit disturber.
I am. Yeah, I'm a shit disturber. I just always ask questions from whenever and I could remember. It was always like, well, why? Why?
Right.
Why
Yep.
not? Why this? Why that?
Yep.
Because ultimately, I just am curious about life. And
Mm,
because I'm curious, naturally I'm a systems buster and I'm a shit disturber because
right.
most people like their status quo, they like their structure. And when I
Yeah.
come in
Yeah.
with love though, it's not like I'm trying to be
Right.
condescending, but it's
Yes.
I come in and I'm like curious and then I want to uncover
Right.
the light under
Yep.
all of that crap
Right.
that's been put on top of their
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
So this aspect of my life and my coaching, like helping people move from their head to their heart,
Mm,
is in essence like this like cover up for I'm a shit disturber. So when you
mm,
work with me with
mm.
love, your life is going to shake up just with this energy and
Yeah.
your truth is going to come out,
Yeah.
but it's like really really yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm here to do
Oh,
that.
yeah. And there's so many, as you're talking, I'm like, do you ever find that like people want to hold on to their shit and protect their shit and defend their shit, and you're trying to power wash and break it up so that they can get rid of it? Is that
It's you know what? Not so much.
okay?
Because the thing is, it happens more over time. So it's like, I think of it more like a sculpture. So it's like you're chipping away at what's not them,
Right.
and then their truth is revealed.
Right.
So as we're kind of like looking at different domains of life,
Yeah.
we're not just like busting through that one thing and ripping it to shreds. It's very much
Right.
like a gentle, nurturing process. But
Right.
what I find that people come up against is their life experience starts to
Mm.
change and they start to face more adversity,
Mm.
which then doesn't have them so much want to hold on to their shit, but
Mm.
has them more curious of, is this even working? Oh my God, my life's gotten like
Yeah.
worse. I don't understand.
Yeah. And
So it's a
I
process.
was asking that question in the context not of your one-on-one coaching. I think that
Mhm.
where I was probably coming from, which it doesn't really matter, but where I was probably coming from was not like I know how you would approach your coaching. It would be in how you described it was beautiful there. But the question wasn't really about your coaching. It was just, we have our limited identities that we hold near and dear to our hearts. And sometimes if people are challenging, oh, is that really who you are? They want to double down on it and dig their heels in. And those are obviously
Yeah.
not the people that you're in alignment with when
Well,
you're working
well, the
with, but
thing is like, especially with someone who asks those questions, it's like you also have to have discernment. Like, I'm
sure.
not walking around asking that to everyone, right?
No. Yeah.
So, and the ones that you kind of find that they are like a little stuck, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, it's all
Right.
good, right?
Yeah.
And that's taking practice. But yeah, absolutely agreed.
Right.
We want to be comfortable, most
Mm.
of us,
Mm.
and myself included. Like, I
Yeah.
like comforts. I want to
Right.
be comfortable and be
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like when there's a greater calling, we kind of in that moment of judgment, we're like, okay, is it worth it to let this go and feel that anxiety and that almost release,
Right.
or is it worth it to hold on to it? What
Yeah.
do I want more?
Yeah. I always find that at a certain point when you have a higher calling, that your comfort zone starts to become uncomfortable. And it's like,
Oh, for sure.
you, which is, it's kind of funny how that works.
I
But
mean, it's not
that,
easy. Like
no,
the life that you and I are creating, right? Like
yeah,
coaching and being of service and doing these videos even and
yeah,
coming out here and talking about this stuff. It's like
right,
it's like a part of our experience, but it's not
right.
comfortable. It's not like,
No,
yay, like this is so easy and
no,
normal. It it is uncomfortable, right?
yeah. Yeah, and I see some of the stuff that you post, and that's kind of my approach. So what we're doing with the live coaching path and with this platform, Life Coach Live, is we are kind of doing what you're saying, which is some of these things are like a practice. Even as a coach, like you have a coaching practice, and you know, it's a practice to kind of challenge yourself to step outside of your comfort zone, follow your heart, and do the things that you kind of know that your heart's calling you to do. And, your head or your ego might be going, whoa, not so fast. And yeah, it's just, but this is what we're called to do as coaches, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the calling.
Okay. So thank you for sharing beautifully there. And then the next question. So for your vision to come alive, uh, how will you be? How do you want to be in order for that vision to be fulfilled?
Um, well, extremely intuitive
Mm,
and led by my energy more so than my like have to do's, if
right.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Like just to focus more on, well, okay, what feels most authentic? What feels most real? Yeah, maybe I had this on my to-do list for today,
Right.
just kind of day-to-day stuff, but it's like, well, what feels more in alignment is I'm going to film that video right now because there's something that needs to come through.
Right.
Or I had it on my list to film a video, but it's like, well, I just don't feel like I'm in that emotional, mental
Mm-hmm.
headspace.
Yeah.
So for my vision to come through, it's like really learning to be more compassionate with myself and more accepting of where I'm at because
Yeah.
I know I'm evolving and growing and not trying so hard to push harder,
Right.
just leaning more into my divine feminine and feeling more held and supported as I just by my spirit, like as I grow.
Right.
Um, yeah, and I think sometimes that can be confused with like, well, okay, well, if you don't feel like doing something, then how's that business going to be built? Or especially in this world of doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for my vision to be manifested, I need more than anything to be led by my being, to
Yeah.
be led by my essence and my truth as opposed to the things I need to do.
Wow. That's amazing. Like even your language is, you're using the word being, which is, that's the essence of our identity, that we've named. I mean, it's hard to name what it is at the essential level that we are,
Right.
but being is one of them. Cause, source, and you know, I guess for in terms of having a mission on how I want to be, I want to embody that in the world. Yeah, it's beautiful. So in terms of practice, like what are some of the things that you are drawn towards doing, intuitively drawn towards doing, in order for that vision and your identity, your light to shine through? What are some of the things you find yourself doing on a regular basis that are really serving your mission and your vision?
For sure. Having a really consistent spiritual practice for
Mm,
myself in the morning.
mm.
So that looks like we wake up around like 3:34,
Oh, you got me
meditating,
beat.
journaling. It's taking time.
Yeah,
This is what I
yeah,
was saying in the beginning of the conversation. I'm like,
yeah,
man, it just happened,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But journaling, something that I've practiced for years is the morning pages. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
No.
it's from a book called The Artist's Way. And
Okay.
it's all about restoring your creative power and connecting to your inner creator. And
Oh,
a practice
awesome.
in that, which I
Yeah.
took, was every morning 3 pages of just journaling
Yep.
of whatever comes out,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
it's like you're speaking to the universe, to God through these pages, and then
Yeah.
God responds to you during the day. So it's pretty
Right.
cool.
Yes.
um, Practicing some form of like yoga or meditation, just doing something that puts like a spiritual armor on for myself
Right.
throughout the day where I feel held, I feel stable, right? Like that's a
Yes.
stability internal practice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then from there, my focus right now is really like taking that energy and
Yeah.
then how can I transform that and manifest it to create some value in the world.
Yeah.
So it's creating content, writing stories,
Yeah.
putting my energy out there
Yeah.
because that's something that for a long time I was afraid to do because
Right.
I was really stuck in my head about, well, how and
Right.
but it's like something this year just opened up for me where
Yeah.
it's still uncomfortable, but I'm
Yeah.
more like, okay, just do it. Just do it. Don't
Right.
think about it. Just get it out there. So, yeah, and I'm working on another program. So a lot of content that is there to up level people and really just shake their
Yeah.
energy in the sense of asking them those questions.
Serve their soul. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
content that serves their soul.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, so the stuff that is still a little bit uncomfortable, have you noticed over time that it gets a little bit easier doing the things? Some, like, let's say maybe what was uncomfortable 6 months ago, through practice, it's now
Yeah,
just kind of normal. Is that
for
true?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, like, for example, I'll give you something real. So 4 months ago, I started my YouTube channel. It's pretty
Right.
new.
Yes.
I have 50 videos on there now, about
Yes.
50.
Yeah.
But when I started, I
Yeah.
remember Cameron, my husband, was like, okay, like you just have to start. You don't have to do like
Right.
30-minute videos. Just do
Yeah.
like a short a day.
Right.
So it was so uncomfortable for me, but I just did a short every single day for 30 days.
Yeah.
And then over time, I just got more and more like every time I did one, I was like, oh, I learned about captions or
Right.
lighting or
Yeah.
music, and I got
Yeah.
more confident, more certain.
Right.
So my mission, I know, is to bring light to the world, but I can't live that unless I like take the aligned action to like
Right.
do the thing, right? And
Yeah.
get over my human uncomfortability. I got to do it ultimately.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm led by inspiration. Like I know in my body, I'm like, okay, I can pick up the phone
Yeah.
and do a short and put it out there in 10 minutes.
Yep.
I don't need to go through that uncomfortable feeling. There's
Right.
still a moment, but
Sure.
I can do it.
Yep.
Right.
It's
So, yeah.
the uncertainty of it. How will it be received? What am I going to say? How is it going to look? How will it be received?
Yeah, it's still
And
there.
yeah, and you know that uncertainty is really the spice of life, I think, though, you know?
Yeah.
And if we don't give ourselves the opportunity to experience that and to face it, then we kind of stay stuck, I think. I think that by continually, and really what I discovered for myself, because I can totally relate to how you're describing, you know, there's that resistance, there's that
Right.
moment of, oh, I got to jump and I don't really want to jump. But I find that by doing that, we get to see that there was nothing to be afraid of after all, you know.
Yeah.
And also, it's really what I noticed for myself is it's actually all I'm really doing is looking at myself, like not like on the phone you literally are looking at yourself when you do a video, but I don't mean it like that. I mean it's like you're looking at yourself in the mirror. That's all. The only thing that I'm facing really is my own fear, my own judgment, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no one else. There's actually people out there who are like, wow, good work. Oh my
Right.
gosh. And that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, that's exciting. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like, you don't know that unless you take the leap. And
Yeah.
nobody else can tell you that. Like,
Right.
people on the sidelines and in your life can be like, you're doing so great. No, don't worry. Everyone's going to love it.
Yeah.
But you gotta
Still
it's
got it.
like that
Yeah.
that leap is what reminds us what being alive is like.
Right.
So if you haven't taken a leap in a while and you're feeling
Yeah.
mundane, it's like
Yeah.
you get stuck. Exactly to what you said.
And it probably becomes harder to take a leap. The more that you don't leap,
The longer.
the harder just a small leap becomes. The first step becomes so daunting and heavy, you know, but the
Yeah,
more you do it, the second step gets a little easier, then the third step. And you start to develop some confidence and certainty in yourself, and then you know, and then you're in the flow and things are starting to happen and you're gaining new insights and new perspectives that you just didn't have access to staying behind the, you know, hidden,
exactly.
hiding yourself.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what like the 1% a day,
Right.
that 1% tiny consistent action, whether it's like one short or 5 minutes of meditation or one page of journaling, whatever the thing is like that's gonna just get the little gears turning. All of
Right.
a sudden, those things, let's say like a year later, turn into something massive that you could
Right.
not have predicted.
Right.
So we first have to have the courage to take that little step, whatever that
Mm.
is. We don't
Yeah.
have to be attached to the
Yeah.
outcome,
Yeah.
but keep going, right?
Yep.
Keep doing the step. And if you fall off, okay, well, just get back on. Right?
That's
That's
right.
that's just
Yeah.
remind myself of that every day because there are days that go by that I'm like, oh damn, I didn't do a video or something.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, well, you could just do one now. Like it's all good.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to kind of berate yourself or, you know, be too hard on yourself. And yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we humans tend to have a tendency to do that from time to time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a pattern that shows
Yeah.
up that we have to actively, if
Yeah.
you want to transform it, it takes time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious a little bit on what your current coaching practice looks like with your clients, and is there anything you feel that you want to share about how that's been for you?
Do you have like a context? I mean, there's so many elements. So I'm like,
Just
where do we want to go?
whatever kind of is exciting for you about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. So, like for the last, I would say, decade, I've been in the work of
yeah,
personal growth
right,
development. So I've been becoming a product of the product, doing the
right,
work, changing, transforming.
yeah,
And it's only been really the last couple of years that have been it's like the energy that I was becoming all of a sudden like pulled in
mm,
this stability of okay, now I can like serve other people because it's just more natural.
yeah,
But most recently what's been happening is like there's been so many women that have been like connecting to me that
mm,
I'm like, wow, I got clear on who I wanted to serve, the kind of
right,
person, and they're
yeah,
just like showing up.
yeah,
Like this week alone, I got like 3, 4 new people in my world saying, I
yeah,
want to be supported by you.
exactly,
And
yeah,
what that's doing is taking these last several years and almost like it's like this pivotal moment where everything feels like it's coming together, if
mm,
that makes sense.
yeah,
I felt like I was kind of like coaching anyone and floating a bit, which is cool. It's part of the
yeah,
process.
yeah,
But I just got really clear and something clicked.
yeah,
And now I'm building my first like big program, which is going to launch in January, which
awesome,
until I was clear about who I was serving and 100% like sure and certain,
yeah,
it's hard to do.
yeah,
Right. So that is something I'm really excited about because then I can serve more people at a bigger scale
right,
and I can get crystal clear on like how and the who and all of that stuff.
right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrific. I'm thrilled for you. And you're very deserving of that because you're putting in the
Thank you.
reps, and you're doing the work, you're doing the inner work, and you're on the path. And so, is there anything about the program that you're putting together that you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. So it's called the Head to Heart Blueprint.
Nice.
And specifically, it's designed for ambitious women, like the really determined women
Yeah.
who have been doing all these things in life that they thought would make them feel successful or happy or stable,
Yeah.
but now realize that they're feeling really out of alignment.
Mm,
And maybe they don't have the words to describe that they're feeling disconnected from their soul right
mm,
yet, but they know that something just is not fulfilling. It's just
right.
not aligned.
Right.
And so the process and the program that we go through is like something that I was thinking about the other day was like moving from your head to your heart is the process.
Mm,
It's not the destination.
mm,
So the process of moving from your head to your heart is the becoming connected to your soul, is
mm,
uniting with your truth, right?
mm,
It's
mm,
not the end result because it's who you become in the process. So it's very
mm.
interesting. So to kind of put that all into the program. We talk about boundaries. We also talk about your connection to spirit, to God, and recognizing that the God that we're talking about in the program is not religious. It's
Right.
a being, and
Yes.
that as a world, we
Mm,
are moving away from indoctrinations
right.
and from these like paradigms of government and all this stuff. We're moving away and having more sovereignty. So
Yeah.
it's really connecting all these elements of like looking at your day to day
Yeah.
and helping evolve past the programs, but at the same time being lifted and elevated by your spirit so that you can continue to go. And it's not just like we're doing a quick fix here. This is
Right.
like a foundational, lifelong transformation. And it's like what I've been doing with my one-on-one clients, but now it's,
Right.
in a program,
You're
which to
opening
me,
it.
I'm like blown away by what's coming through.
It's exciting. Yeah, that's great. It sounds wonderful. Yeah, it sounds perfectly, what I would imagine, if I was creating a program, you expressed it in your own unique way, but it's totally in alignment with, my aspiration, my vision as well. So, yeah, so I
I
wish
love it.
you like tons of good fortune with it
Thank you.
and,
Thank you.
you know, and courage and
Mm,
grace and conviction, you know, and And I know that whatever unfolds, it's going to be what it's meant to be, and it'll be have its own perfectness. Just
Exactly.
yeah,
Its
yeah,
own essence. And that's the thing. It's like when we create something, whether it's a piece of art or a program or video, they're all creativity. They're all
yeah,
content that's created out of us. And
yeah,
I've realized over time, it's like the more attached I am to the outcome of like,
right,
oh, who's gonna buy it and how,
yeah,
I just get out of the zone. So my focus has been just playing in that realm of like, well, what do I want to say here? How is this gonna show up? Like, what's
yeah,
creative here? How can I have fun, right? And
yeah,
uh and just letting go.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how we talk about it in the live coaching path is, I think our conditioning is to seek the effect, the outcome. And what I hear you describing is the focus is on the creative cause. Your energy and attention is going towards the inner, deeper source and cause that is creative, that
Yes.
manifests from your soul. And putting all of your attention and energy into that. And the outcome is going to be what the soul needs it to be, wants it to be. And it's getting out of here and trusting here that whatever unfolds is how it's meant to unfold. And it's really, in the end, it's none of our business, really. You know,
Yeah.
this is our business. This is priority.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Something, a quote that's in my mind from The Artist's Way
mm,
is great creator. I will take care of the quantity, you take care of the quality.
perfect.
Right?
Yeah,
I'll do the
absolutely.
work. I'll
Yeah,
show up consistently. I'll do
yeah,
my 5% of my human journey.
yeah,
You do the rest. The
yeah,
95%, like you take care of it. You take care
yeah,
of how it gets to people, who shows up, who
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
All good.
And we confuse the quantity with quality. We confuse it. We think that
Yes.
quantity means quality, and it's not necessarily so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like every piece of content has to be perfect. Meanwhile, it's, well, you need to have content first to even get it to be better. So
Right.
the first one you do is
Sure.
gonna suck,
Right.
usually, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The first step, the first date, the first kiss, whatever.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awful and weird and
Yeah.
bumpy, but
Yeah.
you kind of do it and you get this rhythm. And then once you develop the rhythm, it's like the rhythm is more fun than
Right.
being attached to what's happening as a result of it.
Right. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. And sometimes if we base our motive on the external outcome, then because we can't really ultimately control the outcome. So if we're attaching all the importance on the outcome, then if the outcome doesn't go how we wanted it to go, then it kind of devastates us, and we're like feel back to square one, and we're not inspired anymore to act. What's the point? And we get into this negative kind of self-talk, and you know
Yeah.
so
And that's
yeah,
where the spiritual practices, the
right,
remembering your connection and
yeah,
having support, right?
yeah,
That's so important. I mean, the
right,
number of times, I'm sure you've done this too
yeah,
as a coach, where the majority of the call is just like, do you realize how far you've come? Like, do you
right,
see that? Like,
right,
really, like,
yeah,
so it's like having someone in our corner to remind us,
right,
you did that. Like,
yeah,
you did that, no one else.
right,
So then that helps us pick ourselves up and just,
yeah,
okay, I can do it. I did
yeah,
that, so therefore I can keep going,
yeah,
which can be the hardest thing sometimes.
yeah. Well, it's a big shift seeing how far you've come, as opposed
Yeah.
to just focusing, oh, I'll never get there. It's so far, it's too hard, it's too difficult. And reversing that outlook, and again, acknowledging and honoring yourself, recognizing your own, deeper self, and the goodness, the quality of who and what you really are, and
Yeah.
allowing that grace and energy to pour from within into your external world. And yeah, I mean, like I mentioned to Paul, I told Paul that we would be talking today, and I kind of alluded to, like, because you and I have this connection, from a heart to heart connection, if you will. I was really excited about talking with you today, and I'd love to catch up with you maybe in the new year if you
Yeah,
want to, and just get a bit of a progress report on how things are
sounds
going.
good.
And you know, yeah, hopefully we'll stay in touch, anyways, Kacy, and we'll see what happens, see what the future brings.
Of course, you got it. Thanks so much for the space.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Much love and all the best.
Take care.
Bye bye.